Great point, Roy. I haven't asked for consent for years. But I also don't have say so.
It's so good. That's our song. Thank you, Steven. And also, thank you, Brody. I don't know if you guys saw, but Brody animated some pretty funny stuff. So, Brody's also getting to thank you today. Welcome back, everybody. Cinematographologically speaking, your source of all film news.
News?
Yeah, all film news. This week, Miley Cyrus. Okay, so this week, we got Diary of a Country Priest. Or, as I like to say, Journal d'un curé de campagne.
That was really good.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Who's that, you might say? We've got special guest Sam today.
Can I get a round
So
of applause? Thank you, everybody. Yes, that's awesome.
My claps weren't going through.
Can I? Your claps didn't go. Well, yeah, we acknowledge that you clap. Thank you,
Stephen Clapp. Thank you.
Can we acknowledge the fact that I am responsible for the naming of this podcast? Is that Am I not?
Is that true?
Oh,
Did I not?
That's accurate.
I came up with the name. Well, we came up with the name before the idea for the podcast existed, right?
No. Whoa. As I recall, I think you were the first person to say the word cinematographologically. Possibly.
No.
But,
that part's for sure.
No, certainly. Okay, yeah. But that was said before the podcast was in our minds.
Yes.
This is fair.
Sam comes on the podcast
Yeah.
and instantly mobs
Yeah,
everyone.
by the way, Sam's leaving in 3 minutes. That's all he came to say.
Yeah, I'm on a really tight schedule. I got about 5 other pods to do today, so I was hoping we could wrap this up pretty quick.
That's that New York lifestyle.
Yeah, that New York.
This is the hustle bustle.
Yeah, all my boys got podcasts.
So Sam is a professional film podcaster. So he's got so many.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to
He
book
actually
him.
sat in the 32nd row at the Oscars, so
Yeah, actually, no. Most of my podcasts are
Big-
just for
big deal.
raunchy comedy. non-PC comedy.
Yeah, what are they? Yeah, wait. What
I thought they killed comedy. I thought they canceled it.
What do they call? There's like a Netflix category for like raunchy comedies, and it's called it's like some cringe term, but it's like, I can't. Irreverent.
Yeah.
Irreverent.
Yeah, that's the genre I'm in.
Wake up and choose irreverency.
Speaking of reverency. Anyway, so we watched Diary of a Country Priest.
Beast.
Diary of a Country Beast. This is 1951, Bresson. Right. This is maybe Tarkovsky put it in his top 10, which honestly is so cringe. He made one. I can't believe it. This is one of Bergman's favorite films, and the Taxi Driver's modeled after it, etc. So big important film. Also, what was I gonna say? Oh, Hanukkah's favorite Bresson, and we love Hanukkah, of course. Anyway, and it's right, like it forms the I don't know, it's the first of the Diary of a Country Priest, Winter Light, First Reformed dialectic, of which we're all extremely familiar.
The fuck are you talking about?
So this film happened, and then eventually Bergman made Winter Light, which is
okay
in dialogue with this film, and then Schrader, who really doesn't deserve to be talked about in the same breath as Bresson and Bergman, made First Reformed 2017 film starring Ethan Hawke, which is in dialogue with the two Winterlight and Diary. And honestly, First Reformed not too bad, but it really doesn't.
Where's Schindler's List and all that?
Well, Schindler's List kind of encompasses everything, as we know.
Yeah.
Kind of answers all questions and leaves none left.
It's the ultimate faith-based argument.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Oh, you don't believe in God? Haven't seen Schindler's List.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll do opening thoughts and we'll get into it. I guess I start. Not because I'll have the best opening thoughts, but because I'm at the top in the Discord call. Anyway, I'm mostly just saying that for Sam's sake, so he doesn't embarrass himself by going out of order.
I understand the hierarchy here. It's implicit.
So, best film ever. Okay, so this movie, so first, I start watching the movie and I'm starting to think, oh, here we go again, God mode, God dialogue, time to engage with the theological. It also, in the beginning, struck me as sort of like that meme. There's like a meme where it's like, I had it pulled up, but it's like, film fans, when you say you want to watch a Marvel film and not a 4-hour black and white look at the Serbian famine through the perspective of a pigeon type of thing, like it's this, ascetic minimal black and white French film where you hear je l'ai vu, je vois, my life like a bag, in the wind, whatever other stuff.
In the wind.
Yeah, like a shooting star, whatever other stuff. So, like, I'm like, oh, this is kind of, this looks old as shit. This looks like it's gonna be really indulgent, and it looks like it's gonna be this like, intellectual work. And I think it's a one of the rare cases where I'm not really sold on a film in the beginning, but come, over time, really, really get sold on it. So anyway, started off a little rough. I think I was, it comes with the territory of watching a 480p DVD film. Also, a very like, whatever, reserved French film. And also,
this was 480p. I thought it was 4K.
You're funny. Plus Bresson is like super, whatever. He's not like an indulgent guy. Anyway, really, really liked it, actually. I was really surprised by the emotional quality of the film. The performances were extremely good. The theological discussion was not cringe. And if anything, was pretty refreshing. Steve and I were talking a little bit before, and we'll talk more, but I mean, the whole film is like Kierkegaard or Kierkegaardian, which is cool. And all these films, right? Any serious Christian film or whatever God film will be Kierkegaardian if it's good. But I found it like it had that kind of cool naivety of the character that was like it didn't need to just constantly allude to things. Like it was comfortable being explicit, but it wasn't like cringe conceptual explicit, if that makes sense, right? It's not like, some like when some movie wants to be heady, so they have two characters talk about really deep shit like aliens and
Weed and Aliens.
What happens when you die and you wake up with the bong in your hand and they ask you how was it,
I thought that scene was really missing from this movie. Actually.
Yeah, that's true. They actually could have wrapped it up. Yeah, after he dies. Anyway, so that was a little long, but I really, really liked it, and I think what stands out to me is the craft, is the emotion, is the various emotional experience of the film, and the intellectual element is cool and good too, but not but not what this film is about. Per
Woo! Yeah, I mean, what do you want me to say? That this movie sucked nuts? Because it didn't.
Well, you told
this
me.
Movie was, this movie was good. Basically agree with everything you say. I mean, all I can say is I am a little tired of the like God movie, the faith-based movie, the slow, steady movie about God, about faith. I mean, this one did it extremely well, though. I would say this is my favorite out of any of them. I think.
Whoa.
It's pretty lame to call that a genre because it says it doesn't seem like it fits like within a genre, but I don't know. Good movie. I don't know really what to say. Chantal was a great actress, great performance of just a pure annoying swarthy bitch.
Killed herself after the film.
Did she really?
She did. Yeah, she.
No,
jumped.
please.
She jumped in front of a train.
No, please.
Yeah.
Oh, I take it back. She was a kind heart in this movie. Troubled soul. That's it.
I agree. I thought her performance was the best, but I'm pretty sure this movie, or at least the what's the name of the actor who played the priest? His performance was particularly like lauded at the time. Although I actually was not a big fan of it, at least at the sort of like climax points of like drama. I mean, I don't know, it felt corny. The other times where he just seems like very removed and like which was just like most of the movie. Basically anything besides the climax I thought were really good. But then the actual like bigger performance parts I thought were just kind of corny. But maybe that's just me. I thought Chantal was definitely the best because like she's actually really hateable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially in the end, like her smugness just like bleeds through. Like you don't even have to know what she's saying, you know?
Yeah. It's written on her face. Yeah. Poor girl.
Does anyone feel the same? I mean, how do you feel about it?
You give your whole take. Everyone gives their opening
Well, I'm trying to think of
and then people respond to each other.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's the first thing that jumped out at me and made it a little hard to like be immersed. At least like to be like I guess like emotionally immersed because like obviously those high points are so important. I'm trying to think of like when he gets when it's clear that like his sickness is really like bearing down on him, and like I know it happens like in the end where he almost has that like that look on his face like he's losing his mind or something, but really he's just really sick. And I don't know, moments like that made it hard to like really be emotionally invested. And then on top of that, I mean, at least like overall like feeling about the movie, I finished it feeling a bit confused about the plot, that there were certain plot points that I'd missed. And I know, Troy, you said you felt the same. But
yeah, there's some things I didn't understand.
Yeah, and then even going back through and reading like synopsis, still some like gray areas.
Dude, the wiki plot is terrible.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like there's
like most of the movie.
Yeah, there's definitely parts that are just like important parts that are not mentioned, but yeah, most like final feeling was just a bit of confusion. Yeah.
Would you like the movie?
We discussed this a little at the beginning. It was like it's hard for me to say whether or not I like it if I feel like there are parts that were like big parts that were missing for me, but overall I still felt good by the end. Yeah. I want to get into the plot. Once we talk a bit more about the plot, I feel like I'll feel better to give like a firm opinion on how I actually feel about it, but
we'll come back to you. You'll get interrogated.
Yeah, please.
We'll find out how you felt about this film.
All right. Jakey in the house, big Jakey in the house. We're back. We're watching films. We're talking about films. We're thinking about films. And, I just want to first off say that this film obviously right up my alley, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I used a lot of my connections to push this for this episode.
That's true.
And, I used up a lot of mana.
That's right. Listeners of the pod may recall various times in history where Jacob maybe doesn't have the power he deserves, but for this one, Jacob was the almighty hammer.
Yeah,
and colors of pomegranates.
Yeah, that's right.
We're going to need to demolish this narrative soon, okay?
Yeah,
Where things are going to get out of hand.
I think this will be the official end of the narrative, because at this point, I think Jacob has determined what film we watch as much as anyone.
True. But this has just been my ascendancy up into the dictatorial position. Usurping Troy. Because... anyway, I'm not going to get into that. But unfortunately, I was about to say, even though this film is, right up my alley, I essentially picked it. I'm going to have to share a lot of Sam's, I share his feelings where I was kind of confused at certain points, but it doesn't help that I was really tired when I watched it. So, I may have closed my eyes a few times.
Oh, this guy didn't watch the movie.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to just inject in a bunch of nonsense. But yeah, I definitely was getting strong Winter Light vibes from this. I didn't know that Winter Light was actually meant to be a response, or had this in mind. So that makes a lot of sense. And I forget, does the priest in Winter Light doesn't die?
No, roughly this film is almost exactly Winter Light up to a point.
Right, because
in terms of plot, right? There's the encounter with the suicidal person, in which the priest fails to in his own eyes help that situation, and then the suicide occurs, and then the blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But yeah. So I share Sam's desire to kind of feel things out while we talk about it, because I don't want to make any grand claims right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, if I could just quickly say something unbelievably based, if you guys feel confused, it's the film that's confused, not you. Okay. Unironically, at this point, I'm almost embarrassed on your behalf that you felt like you did something wrong. Obviously, you were always perfect, and your senses are intact at all times.
What if I only remember the first minute and the last minute of the movie?
What matters is if you remember how you felt.
I was kind of confused too sometimes, but I still liked it a lot. See, unlike you guys, I don't have a problem saying I think it was fucking really good, even though I was fucking confused about the plot sometimes, mostly because I thought that when Troy said that it was not cringe when it came to the explicit nature of the conversation and things like that, of God and stuff, I thought that all of that was done so well, it was well written, that it kind of made me not care about other things. And as far as his performance went, I actually kind of disagree with Sam. I actually thought he did a pretty good job in, because he had to rapidly change from extreme agony to exaltation, and he did a pretty good job at that, the facial cues of going from the worst suffering imaginable, and then 5 seconds later having to show pure bliss or understanding of God, which is kind of a steep task or something.
I feel like that really only happened on the motorcycle, right? Is there another scene that comes to mind that you think of?
Maybe at the very end. Yeah, at the very end, it also happens when he's in the bed, kind of. When he walks throughout the room, So so both of those are in the last quarter. So you're right. Does it happen earlier than that?
There are some peaceful moments, or moments where he gains peace, such as after being faced with like the accusations that, when he's in the barn with the other priest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he like stands up for himself, and then when he returns home, he's in a time of peace. Although it's a little different than what you're describing, Stephen. Though I agree with you. I think I'm gonna have to agree with Jean Toulard when he says no other actor deserves to go to heaven as much as Laidu.
Right.
No, yeah, but I think also, Sam, I believe you haven't seen a Bresson film, and like characteristic of Bresson films are these characters or he has the actors like extreme minimal performances, type of thing, so as to sort of distance the viewer from the character, but also like kind of like it's like bring attention to the inner life that one, like, I guess imagines, I think.
Well, I read something about like sort of his methodology with having them read lines over and over again until they essentially became automatic.
Yeah, he calls them models.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny that you're saying basically, right, that it like calls attention to like more of like an inner life.
Yeah, like I think, well, I don't know. I think there's probably a couple things to it. Like I think he wants people to look like I don't really know. I haven't done a ton of reading about it, but my sense is that he wants people to appear more as like vessels for like this incomprehensible inner life that we kind of not guess at per se, but like, I don't know, it comes through more subtly. But I think, right, like this, like the male performer, I don't know, like he's not trying to tell the story with his face, right? I think do we agree on that? Whereas like maybe like a Bergman performance, right? You've got these close-ups and you're looking at these faces that illuminate so much about their inner life and the experience, and also mirror that of the audience, which I think is just like super different here, where it's much more watching someone a bit alien to us. But I just
thought that it totally matched like his like identity and occupation as a priest, that he would be so. It's like it comes off as several things at once. It's like reserved, callous, sincere, intimate. His face at all times looks not detached, but like it has every possible serious emotion at once.
I agree.
Which I think is cool and adds to like this extreme, immense, grandiose, free-floating issue of like God, faith, meaning, life, etc. Like the most serious questions that can't even really be articulated into words. Like he kind of captures them through this one ambiguous face that he has most of the time. He operates through most of the movie with this kind of just ambiguous, stern, serious face.
Yeah, I think that's
I don't know.
super true and a great way of putting it. Right, like he is like an ascetic. The film is ascetic in its like in its setting and its presentation, right? In the way the actors perform, like everything is like, yeah, I agree, and I think it makes the issues that they're concerned with feel like more powerfully hidden a bit, but not totally.
I agree with that. I like that. I like that description a lot, and that's kind of why I was saying like I like you have this freeze frame right now, like
yeah, this is one of your moments I feel like you were mentioning.
Yeah, it is, and this is when he goes to his friend's house in was it Lille, right? I don't know if viewers can't see this specific frame.
They can.
Okay, so
but yeah, describing is good. It's when his friend,
the doctor.
No, not the doctor, but his friend, who's like a pharmacist type guy, right?
Wait, the atheist.
Dufresne.
Right?
Yeah, Dufresne. He goes to Dufresne's house, old classmate, and Dufresne discusses how he is no longer like a man of faith, essentially, or like
Yeah.
he's left the life, and this is his reaction to learning that information.
But I mean, this isn't the look on his, like, this moment isn't just that, right? It's also he's sick, right? And he's also like falling ill in the moment, and like I don't know, moments like this just were not, they kind of took me out of it. Whereas like the rest, like what you're describing, Troy, like where he's more like removed and like I guess sort of on surface level expressionless, is definitely more like, it feels like it's someone who's battling with something internally and externally, something along those lines.
No, so true. For a lot of the film, he looks like he has this right insane internal suffering and turmoil, and like his face is that of someone who is like trying to like bridge the gap between like the world outside of himself, like
he's literally me.
Literally. Right, does that seem fair? But then those moments, it's like almost unusual compared to the rest of the film in how expressive he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting moments.
I think
also the sickness, right? He becomes quite ill whenever he encounters sin. One might say he can't stomach it.
I was actually going to ask something along those lines. It's like in the first third or first half of the film, did anybody else think that he was just, not to get all cringe, but did you think that him not being able to hold food down was just this like somehow connected to like a metaphor of losing faith or something like that somehow? And then by the end you realize that he's actually sick, like so he's actually has like an extreme faith. Because early on, I feel like I'm wondering just how sincere his faith is. Because he keeps talking about it, and I thought we were going to get presented more with this unreliable narrator. Even though he said that he was going to be frank and earnest, at the beginning. I thought that we were going to, like, watch him descend into non-faith, maybe rebuild himself or something. But it turns out that he's mostly faithful, like, the entire time. Even though he has a little bit of hang-ups a couple times, but basically is faithful the whole movie.
Well, I think we should talk about the stomach and the food and stuff, because I think it's important. Right, I think I think you're right that you immediately associate his diet and issues with his faith, but also like we're primed, knowing kind of what movie we're watching. We're primed for a crisis of faith, right, and how that's going to manifest. I disagree about the faith thing. I think, like, importantly, I think he is like tormented by his lack of faith. I think he's a man, and maybe we could talk more about this, but like, do you know like the Kierkegaardian like faith system with like the night of resignation and the night of faith, or like
Not
resignation? Really. So like, we'll talk more, I guess, about that. But in my eyes, he's in the state of extreme resignation and struggling to like make the leap of faith, and like suffers from it. And like, I think the strongest evidence for that will be after he guides the Countess to a life of faith. He is tormented by the fact that he's given her something he doesn't have, right? He talks about, he has the line about his hands. He said, you know what I'm talking about, or should I pull it up?
Pull it up.
What up, Jamie?
Let me see if I can pull it up. I had the script. But anyway, he let's see. Oh wonder. Oh, here we go. So this is at the end of the sequence, right? Or no, this is when he is at her dead body, right? So she died the next day, or that night, or something, right? And he said, I parted the muslin veil and brushed her forehead with my fingers. I had said to her, peace be with you. And she'd received the peace on her knees. What wonder that one can give what one doesn't possess. Right. Miracle of our empty hands.
Right.
I like that, miracle of our empty hands. And Bresson, not so much in this film, I think, a bit, but going forward, is like notably obsessed with showing images of hands and what they're doing, and in particular empty hands.
Oh, the reverse Quentin.
I don't what.
Quentin
Oh, Tarantino. What? Who's? Oh,
Feet?
yeah, that's funny.
Empty feet.
Empty feet,
Yeah.
empty toes grasping nothing. Anyway, so yeah, I think he's a man who, like, is trying his best to have faith, and like, I don't know, he talks about how his faith is there, and I believe him, but also he's so troubled by the fact that he, like, by trying to give to people what he doesn't have, and in the end, I think, right, he gets it.
Definitely. I think you're definitely right that he is undergoing a crisis of faith.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I only meant that it was never such that he gave up on his duties, I guess. Like, he still played the role as best he could even through it. Like, he bore the burden of his crisis. I don't know. No, but I totally agree. He is undergoing a crisis.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, I just want to quickly, I'll try and minimize discussion of Winterlight and things like this, but I mean, yeah, just as in Winterlight, right? The priest isn't per se having a crisis of faith, as in losing it, but like is in an extreme state of suffering and contention, but like performs his duties nonetheless.
Do you think that's why? Is it relevant at all to the fact that like the town dislikes him because I mean they dislike him pretty quickly, right? Like there's a general sense of like
the first scene is of them.
Him arguing, with the...
No, the very beginning, he doesn't... Sorry, I don't mean to derail it, but
no,
right, the first shot is of writing, but the first thing we see of our character, right, is a man behind bars, a man imprisoned, right? I mean, he's not literally imprisoned, but it's a man behind bars, right? He's behind the gate of the, like, chateau or whatever, or the mansion, right? So he's a man behind bars, he's a man in prison in this ascetic environment, and... the next shot we see is of the rich guy and the governess looking at him. They have somewhat a look of repulsion, and they walk away from him. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I think just from the get-go, we have a man. I like the opening shot, a man behind bars, but yeah, like from the beginning, people are averse to him. But they discuss it later, right? Like it said, the priest says to him. Or someone says to him, who says it? People don't hate your simplicity, they shield themselves from it. It's like a flame that burns them. I think this is said to him by either the priest or the other guy, but
what simplicity? I mean, what where I was going at first was like, is it the fact that he's struggling with his faith is like people recognize it and then dislike the fact they don't have a strong priest, like they don't feel like they can trust someone with their own struggles if they are struggling themselves?
I think they are averse to... I think the simplicity and what they're averse to is faith itself.
That is the simplicity? Or
I think so, yeah. I think the simplicity is faith.
I think that's true. However, they do bring up the fact that he's young many times.
Yeah.
Which is kind of on board with what Sam's saying, that there is this feeling that, I don't know, he's too young and not realized, not hardened. It's not that he's not like an older priest, although that does matter. Actually, it is that he's not an older priest. I don't know, they just mention it a few times. So there's like this...
it's like someone who hasn't wrestled with their faith and won, right? Like you're too young to...
Sure,
to have,
yeah. So he's like unconvincing. His appearance is unconvincing when he is around.
I disagree with this. I think this is kind of like the stomach cancer, where it's like the in-film plot, explanation of sorts.
No, I think.
But I think like his youngness. Like I think his youngness is about his childlike naivete and simplicity, right? And faith.
Well, sure, but
being
it's also
analogous
the reason
to a childlike view is talked about a lot.
So I don't think that's wrong. But it's also the case that, for instance, when the school children tease him and play a trick on him, it's hard to imagine that they would do that to, like, a more wizened priest, if not just older, but, like, more, like, less gaunt, in good health, powerful looking. Like, this is all supposition, but, like, there's something about his extremely meek nature that makes him both a good vessel for, like, naivety and, like, I don't know, like, the redemption through, like, childlike naivety. but also this, like, you can easily write him off because of his age, appearance, health, things like this, which does get brought up, I think, in conversation a couple times.
No, yeah, 100%. I agree with all this. I'm saying one step further, like, this is all proxy for faith in God.
Yeah, that's fine. I agree.
Yeah.
So I had a take about the whole stomach thing.
Oh yeah, we have to talk about this.
Yeah, so first I need to get a few of my ducks in a row. Chantal, that's the the girl or whatever.
That's
the suicidal girl.
Yes.
Yes.
And also, was she the one in the catechism class that knew the
No.
Okay, that's different.
That
girl.
is a different little girl.
Okay.
Just
had to clear that up.
Her name is Syphilis.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Confirmed.
Sisyphus?
Her name's Sisyphus.
So
Sorry.
So a few things here, right? So at the beginning in that class, they were talking about the Eucharist. So they were talking about like Last Supper, body and blood of Christ.
Yeah.
That girl was the only one who knew, and then of course the only thing that Mr. Priest Boy, young thug priest, eats and drinks is bread and wine.
Yeah.
So there's obviously.
Yeah.
Even though it's like he's a priest, so and like that sort of like ascetic lifestyle, like it makes sense for him to just be eating like bread and
you're spot on here.
But he all he does is consume. We can take this liberty to
Yeah.
He's
No, 100%.
constantly.
Yeah, he only consumes Christ.
Yes, exactly.
The body is ill fit for anything sinful as well.
And
he's a Christ consumer.
What I thought was interesting was the older his boss, the older priest,
yeah,
that like constantly berates him and stuff.
Tarsi.
Doesn't he come in at one point and see the wine and he like also assumes that he's a drunk, right?
No. In the beginning of that scene, he says, "I don't think you're a drunk."
Well, I thought he said that, but then he went on to say like, "Oh, we're all sons and daughters of drunks around here."
Yeah, that's what I don't get. It
like,
seems like there's multiple implications that the priest has fetal alcohol syndrome, like unironically. Because the first time, so I don't mean to be interrupting, but like the priest of Torsi, the older priest, right, earlier in the film says, like, it's not what you've drank, it's what was drunk for you long before you were born, right? And so there I'm thinking, oh, he's talking about the Last Supper, he's talking about
the original sin.
The original sin. But then in that scene, I think he like more explicitly implies that the priest is the priest's mother was drinking alcohol when he had the priest.
He has fetal alcohol syndrome.
No, unironically, am I the only one thinking this? Like, it was so explicit. I was like, what is going on with this fetal alcohol syndrome implication? Oh, dude. Anyway, but when he says this will make you sick or whatever, when he's drinking the wine, and he's like, oh, he sees it, and he's like, oh, of course, or no, someone walks in, and he steps up, and the wine shatters, right?
Yeah, that's the priest of Torsi.
Yeah, and I thought the implication was that the wine itself was. I thought there was maybe an implication the wine itself was like unhealthy.
Yeah, I thought it was like moldy
old wine.
Yeah,
like moldy old wine from that barrel in the beginning of the film.
Because it holds on the wine too after the glass or the bottle is broken.
Spilling Christ blood.
So
I can't believe you guys aren't on board with the fetal alcohol syndrome.
I think
it crossed my mind.
Or the implication.
So the priest of Torsi character, he's like a pretty cynical priest, He's like constantly, saying like, oh, you're not ready for this. The church doesn't need love anymore. It just needs like a stern hand, Like he's a pretty cynical and worldly priest, it seems like. Would you guys agree with this?
No.
Sure. I think worldly was a decent.
Oh yeah, I think
that was a better word.
I think
like
he's a bit more worldly, but I think we still believe in him.
Okay. I just think like constantly whenever people are sitting down, with our priest, I don't know, how did I forget his name? What the
Torsi?
I don't know his name. No, our
Oh,
priest.
the priest.
I don't know his name.
I don't know if he even has a name.
Literally us.
Yeah, he's just priest.
Okay.
Yeah, us.
All
you
right.
could refer to him as me.
I'll call him. Yeah, I'll call him me. So like when
yeah.
yeah. No, but when people are sitting down with him and like seeing him drink the wine, I feel like there are multiple instances where people are like, "Oh, you can't be drinking that." Like this is, you know what I mean? They're like commenting on how it's unhealthy
Constantly.
And I think that is, meant to be like the world is surrounded by sin, right? And everyone is trying to bring him away from consuming Christ constantly, right? They're trying to take him off the sort of faithful track. And even the priest sort of does this when he shames him for the wine, or whatever the intention was on the part of the older priest. Like everyone's just trying to constantly drag him away from faithfulness and communion with God, but he slavishly keeps this diet, right, of the bread and wine, and that just shows, it shows his dedication to his vocation, and how it because if you did this in real life, it'd obviously be really unhealthy, and I think that's what it shows is like if you're trying to live like a purely faithful life, like it is going to affect you. It's going to affect your health, like psychologically and physically by just constantly serving God and all that.
So based, so true. And if I could provide an anecdote to bolster your view, ever heard of a guy called Abraham? Anyway, so yeah, right. So Abraham, this is all just going to be Kierkegaard, Fear and Trembling. But part of Abraham's the father of faith and all this stuff, right? We're all on board with the story of Abraham. So anyway, and Kierkegaard talks about how, like Abraham, blah blah blah, super based. His virtue, like what is his virtue, right? And he's responding to this Hegelian thing about like Hegelian universals, where like something is either good for like you or the society at large and stuff like this, and how Abraham's act of faith is good for no one other than for like God himself. And anyway, the man of faith operates totally outside of the world, and I think his like drinking or like his diet like is even like an act of faith in terms of like operating outside the realm of like the human body and what is good for someone. And it's just like, right. He doesn't care.
It's just like textbook like asceticism, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's one of those things where it's like both the symbol and the thing, like they're indistinguishable. Mm-hmm. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I think you're right. And sin and like unhealth, right? Or like the sin and his sickness.
Yeah.
Go hand in hand as well. And if we're done with that real quick, I just want to quote the fetal alcohol syndrome accusation, which I think is crystal clear. Priest from Torsi walks in. Listen, I'm not angry with you, and I don't take you for a drunk. We country people of these parts are all more or less drunkards' children. The doctor put his finger on the trouble right off. You were born pickled in the stuff, my poor friend. I'm sure you had no idea, but you slowly drifted into expecting from wine the strength and courage you might have gotten from a good roast. So he's not accusing him of being a drunk, but of being like malformed because his mother was a drunk, that like his body is looking for food in wine. Like the body expects sustenance from wine. But what I haven't parsed is what this actually means, right? Because here's some, whatever, like the surface level observation. But what is it really about, right? He's obviously feeds into the whole, right, consuming Christ consumer being Christ pilled.
Yeah, from the get-go.
Yeah. His food is that of Christ, and not of the world.
Or something. Yeah.
So earlier on in the movie,
he can only
this
consume
priest
symbols.
tells him to look to Mary, I think, because she's the mother of humanity.
Dude,
daughter of humanity.
Such a based excerpt.
And then so mother of humanity, mother fetal alcohol syndrome alcoholic. Is there a connection there? Is he saying? Is he blaspheming the mother of God?
Well, I'm also wondering if Bresson, this whole film was just mad copium about his alcohol addiction, which he died from.
I did not know that.
It took a little second. But...
Is this a joke?
I don't know if he died.
Wait, Sam. What a joke.
His death. How did he die?
Wait, do you think he died of what Steven said?
No, I don't know. He just he
died at a horse race. He fell from the stands.
He fell off his horse.
Yeah. Steven said he died from a copium overdose.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I thought you said something about alcohol.
I think he got hit by a bus.
Classic.
She is, of course, the mother of mankind.
He hit the bus.
Can I read that section?
Okay.
She is, of course, pray to the Holy Virgin. She is, of course, the mother of mankind, but she is also its daughter. The ancient world, the world before grace, rocked her in its cradle for centuries, and its old hands protected the wondrous young girl whose name it didn't even know. I'll just stop there.
Very based.
But I like that it refers to a time, right, like the ancient world before grace, and it makes me think of the place that the Countess wishes she could take her and her child, right? The place outside of God where they could be there, even if it meant enduring, the worst suffering imaginable at every moment. She'd want to go there with her child and taunt God.
Mm-hmm.
Like this place outside of God. It's interesting. I like that. I mean, are we in agreement that the dialogue with the Countess is actually based? As contrary to maybe cringe.
It's certainly not cringe.
It's certainly not cringe. You don't think it's based?
Wait, can you read it again?
Know.
Can you read it again?
Well, I'm talking about the Countess. His whole encounter.
Yeah, the whole.
What I just read was what the priest gives advice, the final advice to, or the Torsi priest. But the dialogue with the Countess, wherein he brings her from despair to faith, I thought was actually so epic, and I really like the line, death is difficult, most difficult for the proud. And I thought that was kind of cool. She is.
I think that scene,
that
scene is the most blurry for me, in terms of what was actually said.
Yeah, check the receipts, check the transcripts.
There's no heaven or hell. There's only one place, and it's under God.
Yeah, that's based.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool. I like that line. I'll say that line was based.
Yeah, where is it?
Yeah, too bad it's heretical. So.
Yeah.
No, yeah, right. He brings her. You're throwing a child. Small medallion.
Dude, isn't it while Troy's looking this up? Yeah. Isn't it crazy how people wake up every day in hell and they don't even realize it?
So true.
Well,
go on.
People
look at an ant on the ground and think, I'm gonna step on this, but don't realize that they are the ant.
So true.
No, that's what I call true.
Well, can someone explain to me how a virgin had a baby? Could someone go ahead and replicate that?
Yeah.
Quantum.
Could someone go?
Quantum tunneling.
Could I get a quick?
Can I get a
I'll explain right now.
Can I get a quick laboratory condition?
Quantum conception.
Quantum tunneling conception.
Yeah.
Same. Did you see
10 to the 10 to the 10
Ellsworth's
to the 10
homework
to the 10
assignment
seconds.
where he had to calculate the probability of a can of soda randomly tipping over due to quantum tunneling?
No, I'm unaware of this.
And he did calculate it. It was pretty epic. But yeah, we need you to calculate the odds of Mary, a baby appearing in her body due to quantum tunneling.
I should look that up. I bet some schizos.
Yeah, I bet some schizos done it, and I bet give it 50 years, and that'll be the scientific explanation. Turns out the world is actually going to become insanely Christian, but based on a scientific quantum explanation of the virgin birth and the resurrection. What are the odds that the molecules in his brain would realign such that the blood could...
That the
Why-
blind
I mean,
kid-
Yeah.
What are the
sounds-
odds?
that sounds pretty-
quantum resurrection.
What are the odds that she
Sounds pretty base to
delivers
me.
a baby through her quantum tunnel?
Good. Well, anyway.
Wait, can we go back to this to the
talking
conversation?
about?
Yeah, that he has with the Countess. Because again,
Oh yeah,
Like,
he saves her.
yeah, can you because again, like this is when I say it, this is like the blurriest part of the movie for me. Like I just didn't understand what was going on in the discussion. Yeah, walk me through.
Maybe we can find that.
Yeah.
discussion. Could anyone?
Don't-
Can anyone
don't
give me a
let
keyword
Troy-
to
I want you
search in the
to
script?
hold my hand through this, Troy. Please.
Don't
Can
do
anyone-
not let
can
Troy
anyone-
convince you of anything.
Madness, maybe he says madness. Can anyone provide me with
This-
a word so
What
I
are you
can
looking for?
a term used in that discussion that I can control F and find it in the script?
I don't know, place.
He's-
Imperious?
The
Oh yeah,
remember
yeah. My back against the wall before this imperious woman. Okay, yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
Good line.
he murdered that woman. He
Well,
did
this
not
is such a
save
long
her.
discussion. I don't know. I mean, I'm honestly down to go through it phrase by phrase.
No, well, we don't have to. I mean, the context, right, is that she's
Yeah,
she's
maybe.
grappling with the death of her son, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and also simultaneously with her faith because of it, right?
Yes.
All right, I'll give the epic rundown. Woman has lost her son. Based. Okay, as soon as right before I started to give the rundown, I was thinking, I've got this all in my mind. I can totally give an epic oration right now. I lost it as soon as I could. Anyway, she's lost her
just
son.
like, if God real, why bad thing happen?
No. I don't know. She's got this. So she's a woman not resigned, right? And so to be unresigned is like to desire something humanly, to desire something of the human world and think it possible, right? So like she wants nothing more than her child back. She's obsessed with this child. She thinks that she will get the child back by like dying and going to heaven and rejoining. And so she sees herself as resigned in one context, aka life is essentially over for me, right? The world is over for me. I will just wait to die and then I can be with my child again, blah blah blah. She just wants the child. She has not yet granted that her reunion with her child is a human impossibility. Would be the read, I think. Like she Anyway, so I don't know, whatever, man.
Well, at first it sounded like just a very like sort of typical, like the setup to the scene seemed like it was just going to be about like the more like stereotypical like why did God do bad thing, why, but I think that's where I kind of got lost, is it didn't go in that direction. Wait, does anyone disagree with Troy's like synopsis there of like her life on Earth is essentially valueless? It's just waiting until she can be until she has like this reunion with her dead son.
Yeah, that sounds accurate.
Okay, and then how exactly does he reel her back?
So, let me read some things here. After putting up with all these years of countless infidelity, so the governor is having, or not the governor, the man is having an affair with the governess, this third woman that I don't even know if we interact with, right? And this is why Chantel is so upset when she comes to him. She says, I can't believe this. I heard them through the window, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
right? Daddy is having sex with the governess, some lady, right? I don't get why she's so mad about it.
Oh,
but she's
that's
so
right.
mad.
That's the woman at the beginning,
So-
right? Who?
Yeah, so...
Oh.
So the priest, right? The girl comes to him. He reads suicide in her eyes, and with a divine intuition,
As for the note.
says, "Give me the suicide note,"
Mhm.
right? That he couldn't have known about. And she says, "You must be the devil," right? So responding to this situation, right? And so Chantel asks him to. It's implied, right? Like to fulfill his promise, right? Do what I promise, whatever, right? And he says, "I'll do it." And do it is to, I think, go to the family and discuss this issue, right? This issue of infidelity. So I think that like the Countess, like he kind of broaches or whatever. Anyway, the Countess says, after putting up all these years of countless infidelities, suffering absurd humiliations, shall I now, as an old woman, to which I'm well resigned, open my eyes, put up a fight, take chances for what? So I think this whole open my eyes, put up a fight, take chances for what is like return to the world of God, wherein like love and sin and right and wrong and all these like, you know, possibly transcendent but also like immense suffering takes place. Like this world of suffering and goodness, right now she's like resigned herself from that world and is now just right sitting and waiting to die, I think, to rejoin her son, right? She doesn't want to return to the world in which, right,
she has to put up a fight,
she takes chances, right? She risks suffering and possibly gains good and love. Anyway, and he's saying, be careful of whom, let's not jump, I don't want to read the whole thing, I'm trying to find the key points, but that'd be the lines I think that speak to her, right? She's removed herself from the world of God, which is the world of meaning and risk-taking and fighting and such things. Right, blessed is the sin that teaches us shame, right? He's trying to get her to return to that, like the world of shame is the world of God. Anyway, I don't want to just mumble through here looking for the good lines. Maybe you guys could discuss something.
The world of shame is the world of God?
Well, the world of God is a world in which shame takes place. Not to say shame is godly, but like I think the world without God is like this, right, empty material world in which she can just sit there and wait to die, right? There's no drama, there's no good or evil, sin and virtue. No shame, no guilt, no...
Is the shame that he's
whatever.
referring to specifically in being cheated on?
The sin, yeah. He said, blessed is sin if it teaches... Oh, no, she says, there's nothing in my past to blush about.
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying, you know, like she's saying, you know, like all things are permitted or something, you know, like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. Throwing a child there, honey, goes for... God has broken me. You know, he took my son from me. What more can he do to me? I no longer fear him. God took him away. And then he says to say, like, if you become hard, right, and live a life without love, which he later says is synonymous with God, you will be eternally lost from your son, right? And she's like, are you blackmailing me? You know, blasphemy? God doesn't take revenge. Right, so she reads him as saying, like, if you don't come back to Christ, you're never going to see your son again, or your gun again. You're never going to get your gat. Are you really drinking that right now? No, it's an empty can of. Elsmore's drinking Twisted Tea at 6 a.m.
Tweeze.
Anyway, this is starting to feel a little dry. I think I'm doing a little too much talking. But are we like? She reads his.
No, I like where you're going.
Yeah, she reads his saying of, right, like if you turn away from God and love and you know, absorb this life of hardness and whatever, right, you'll never see your son. You're going to become distant from your son. She says blasphemy, right? She thinks he's saying that, you know, you're not going to be reunited with your son in heaven, right? And then he clarifies, well, and she says no sin could make such a punishment just. And then he has this little, right, moment of insane sickness, and then he becomes empowered, right? And says, well, she says, love is stronger than death. The scripture says so. Fuck. If you would love, don't place yourself beyond love's reach. There is a no one does. I don't know. He does all this dope shit. I'm trying to find the line where he talks about the separate world, but I like this little section where he talks about no one knows what can come of an evil thought in the long run. Our hidden faults poison the air others breathe. You'd never get through the. And then she's like, "You're crazy, right?" She's like, "You'd never get through the day if you dwelt on such thoughts." And he says that is true. I believe if God gave us a clear idea of how closely we are bound to each other in good and evil, we truly could not live. And then he gets her to resign herself. I don't know.
But that's a part I'm trying to get to is like what actually reels her back, because I feel like that's sort of that's central
to give up on her son. The like Kierkegaardian resignation is like one must. I have it actually. I have it here.
But is it in order to reunite with her son? She has to give up some sort of like you have to let go to hold on, or
let me think. Or let me train. The resignation. I don't know. I want to summarize it, but I tried to pull up this text, but now I'm not finding. Resignation, believer. There is no faith unless the believer takes. Okay, so basically, like the resignation is like giving up everything, all like. Oh, fuck. Anyway, yeah. I think in summary, the idea is that she can return to her son through love and through God, but she can only return to that love and to God if she acknowledges that her son is gone and she resigns that desire for him to be back. Like, I don't know. It's like explicitly a paradox of like, through faith, through God, you can only through God, the absurd, can you have that thing. And to get to God, you must completely give up earthly or human hopes of having that thing. And like it's not super crystal clear to me. Like this is kind of at the edge of my, abilities. But she says, do you swear? And he says, you can't bargain with God. Right? Like she's saying, oh, if I give him up, I'll get him back. Like if I commit this resignation, then I'll have faith and I'll get him. Like you swear? And like she's trying to make like a disingenuous resignation, right? Like trying to make a deal like, oh, if I resign, I'll get faith. And if I get faith, I'll get my child.
Yeah.
And he's saying, you can't make deals. It needs to be true resignation, like truly give up on this concept, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, because if she didn't, if it were like the bargain, if it were a bargain, then it would just be giving up, would be just born out of the desire to have what she wants, like to have her son, which would be disingenuous.
Yes, okay. Right. He says, you can't bargain with God. You must yield to him unconditionally. But I can assure you there isn't one kingdom for the living and one for the dead. There's only the kingdom of God, and we are within it.
And then doesn't she write a note that he reads after she dies, where she says, I want nothing, I'm happy?
Yes, and I can read this note if you'd like.
No, I don't think so. I just wanted to clarify.
Although I want to illuminate that, because one thing I was confused about was the medallion. Mm-hmm. Right? I think in her rage to like resign herself from her desire for her son, she throws the medallion into the fire and he pulls it out, calling her a crazy bitch. Mm-hmm. Or I don't know how it translates in French, some
wicked cunt.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, in her note, she says, so he says, gave me a parcel from the Countess. I knew what was in it. A small medallion, now empty, and its broken chain. There was a letter as well. Dear Father, the hopeless memory of one young child had me isolated from everything in a terrifying solitude, and it seems as if another child has drawn me out of it. I hope I don't hurt your pride by calling you a child. You are one, and may God keep you so always. I ask myself how you did it, or rather, I have ceased to ask. All is well. I didn't believe resignation was possible, and in fact, it's not resignation that's come over me. I am not resigned. I'm happy. I desire nothing. I had to tell you these things this very evening. We shall never speak of them ever again, shall we? Never. It is good, that word never. I feel it expresses beyond words the peace you have given me. And that's it. And then the Countess died last night. I don't know, man. I don't mean to pretend like I totally understand the mechanics of this event. And neither do I pretend to understand the mechanics of God, but I love him nonetheless with all my heart.
God's not real.
That's an excerpt from my diary.
Can we read your diary next? Can that be the next podcast?
Yeah.
About your diary?
Diary of a city idiot.
Diary of a Wimpy Gamer. No, I feel like that was pretty. I mean, that definitely cleared a lot up for me. But like again, like I guess the sort of like more cringe but clear way of putting it is, yeah, in order to hold on, you have to let go. But I don't know, for me, because like this is not a typical movie for me, nor is the discussion that it's having typical either. But like where God, like, is it necessary for God to come into play into a conversation like that? You know, like, how do you guys see like the necessity of God in that discussion? Because I feel like it isn't necessary, but maybe you guys feel differently.
Elaborate. Is
like letting go of, you know, the I guess how you put it, would you put like earthly desire of like having her child back, that it's necessary to have some sort of faith in God in order to let go, or like what's the necessity of God in that conversation?
Well, without God, you are eternally severed from the child.
Oh, okay.
And through faith, she's able to rejoin with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think. But I think God is essential to the conversation, because I think one thing I like about the film that is maybe different from like Winter Light is God is discussed more as I don't know. I guess it's not in contrast to Winter Light too much, but like it's like the thing which, right, imbues life with, or like she isolates herself from God, where God is conceived of as like a life in which there's good and evil and sin and risk and shame and fighting and, right, like a world of meaning and things like this. And I think those things are impossible without God, especially in this context. So like, because she returns to that world and gains peace.
Wait, what's impossible without
God? You getting pussy.
Fuck.
A world. I don't know. I guess a meaningful world, a meaningful life, and
do you think that's true
in this context? A joining with her.
Well, that's the argument that he's making.
I think it is true with a Kierkegaardian conception of God. I don't think it's like Dostoevsky. I mean, I think Dostoevsky is kind of on this grind a little bit, but like, I think Dostoevsky is more concerned with like an all things are permitted type God. You know?
No. Yeah. I think I understand what you mean. Not only in the sense that Dostoevsky instantiates faith as a means of like not turning to evil, and that's what he's interested in. It isn't as much about individual salvation, it's about salvation through not being bad, and how you can save people from themselves and their bad decisions, very clearly bad. Mm-hmm. So it's less confused, you know, or something like that. Not to say Kierkegaard's literally confused, but more like Kierkegaard deals with confusion more, or something, or like the ambiguity is something that like Kierkegaard necessarily like deals in, or something like that, contends with.
Yeah, I think more so contradiction maybe than ambiguity. Is that fair?
I don't know. Maybe.
I get what I'm saying. I'm saying like these people, like I think Dostoevsky would see people who it's like, right, all things are permitted, right, like just like material relativism, subject, and all this stuff. Just like an empty life where nothing matters, or an empty material world where nothing is imbued with like meaning, is like it, you know, is a place of godlessness of sorts. Whereas I think in this film and the more Kierkegaard take, although I'm not an expert, would be more like their desire to go to that place, right, as we see in this woman, is in fact like just a manifestation of the God they know exists inside them, like the life like that is, and their desire to like flee from it and like spite God and things like this. I think like one cannot help but like let me think here. Do you have a response or question or something, or you want me to just
I don't know. I'm just thinking. I'm just feeling it out, feeling the room out a little bit, and I'm seeing why not just use different terms and be agnostic and still have a life full of meaning? What, like, in a more broad sense?
Yeah, I don't think they're discussing God.
No, beyond just, I guess now it's moving beyond the movie or something like that. Or like why couldn't one?
Well, that's kind of what I was. That's kind of what I was saying. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
It's so like if you just shift it to a contemporary example, where a woman is, she's lost her son and she clings to him, and she has to learn to give him. So you shift it to a contemporary. They're living in an urban city, in America or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, or country, who cares? Does one actually need, faith to get out of that? Like, as a whole or something like that? And not just faith, but like including all of the terminology and things like this, like calling it God and things like that.
Yeah, I think the terminology becomes super muddied, but they being whatever, like
sure.
Kierkegaard and things like this want to retain the same terminology, since they see their conception of God as the source of the, more classical cringe God. Right? So I don't think this woman would have to have, faith in God to, properly overcome this hardship. If we're talking about faith as like, I think the cringe conception of faith is faith being synonymous with belief, right? And the base conception is like faith as, belief only within the frame of like the subjective, like the total individual subjective experience of life and whatnot. So like I think that's part of why this conception of God as being like an element of an individual subjectivity, and like the element that gives rise to like the meaningful perception and operation in the world. He struggles with the fact that it is like his role is to communicate it and to transfer it and to bestow it as a priest, and yet it's a thing that only like he himself may have and other people may have, and like it's incommunicable, I think. Anyway, so like I think if some woman, right, like your example,
sure,
like I think the analogy to this woman in the film would be some like, she would just say, oh well, life is like, I'll resign myself, I can't have my son back, and so she injects massive amounts of copium, and it's just like, well, life, like I'll resign myself from a life in which like meaning is existing because it's so tremendously suffering and blah blah blah, and like it doesn't matter maybe that my son is dead, like, oh, I don't know,
or like, yeah, like I'm enduring this tremendous suffering, but I understand that that's like a part of life in a non-trivial sense. Truly recognizing that's a part of what it is to live, is to endure immense suffering or have the potential to it. It's like a state. And then, I don't know, like proceed with life in all the other areas that she can still find some sort of solace in, whether it be, her community or an interest, whatever.
You're saying this would be the proper operation?
Well, I'm saying this would be the alternative. Like, if you're not going to evoke the name God or have a faith or have an argument that deals expressly with faith terms, or no, sorry, not faith, religious terms. Then you could still make an argument to like have faith in life, like, and it's like necessity, like why you should continue existing.
That just sounds like kind of like an absurdist argument of like life as suffering, where like it doesn't offer any explanation or justification. You know, there's no like framework to like parse events other than just like saying, well, you know, life is suffering, and
but it's not
now
only
you-
suffering. But
now
yeah,
you move on.
yeah. It's not
Yeah.
only
Well, no,
yeah, but you're right. It incorporates suffering. Yeah.
Like, so I think the you know, if we're gonna talk about this like purely in terms of like utility, like it's just there's more utility in having like this framework to sort of to like apply to these sorts of situations.
I feel like you're
but-
saying that, or at least implying that there is no other framework.
What did I say?
Well, like you're saying, it's just like, oh, well, if
I'm just saying having a framework aside from just kind of identifying the absurdity of something.
yeah, and
saying like,
you're saying the religious framework, right? And having that,
like a religious
Yeah.
framework, not necessarily a Christian
sure,
framework.
but doesn't, I mean, at least the idea of an afterlife here is actually partially what muddies the waters, right? It's because she's acting under the assumption that she will see her child again in the afterlife, which actually
Yeah,
makes
this
it
is-
harder for her. And
Yeah, this is what the priest is combating.
Mm.
Like, I think the real life analogy, right? Like you see it a lot, right? Someone loses their child, son, mother, whatever, and you know, to me at least, in part, like they cope with it with you know an afterlife conception.
yeah,
And I think the priest in this case, and also whatever, it's just not the proper mode. The advice would be like, no, you know, you're actually, by just saying, well, I guess I'm done, you know, and I'll just wait till, you know, they just say, oh well, he's not really dead, you know, I'll, you know,
Mm-hmm.
engage with him, you know, in some afterlife, right? This is like a denialism, and this is like
Mm-hmm.
this is like a denial of God in the sense that, like, you know, to use the religious term that isn't exactly on par with that person's conception of God. Like, no, like you have to embrace. I think this is like in part what Stephen was saying, I guess, but like, no, that's copium, and you're actually just distancing yourself from God, love, life, etc., which is the only way in which you can retain a semblance of connection with your dead person.
Mm-hmm.
And like you need to return and resign yourself to the fact that, you know, your child is dead, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, it is a human impossibility for you to interact with them in any sense, and that you will never interact with them in any sense again. They are dead. And only through this like resignation and acceptance and like experience of you know, like the reality of your human existence, will you be able to find peace with your son and your life and things like this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on board, but the only question is like, why, you know? I mean, so now you switch to the modern example where, like, you know, not everyone's not necessarily using the terminology of God, but instead, I don't know, just try and reach that same conclusion. Do you really like use this other terminology, or do you have other like terms like faith in life itself, or something like that, and like the like potential beauty, you know, which necessitates suffering, or like suffering like gives rise to beauty and things like that.
Yeah, like beauty and suffering and all these things are found in the same space. But I think the space and the world that she ought to return to, right, rather than isolate herself from.
Yeah.
But I think this is this is the domain of like the radical subjective like view of the world, wherein like there's no material life itself that gives rise to these things.
Mm-hmm.
And so like this quote unquote mystery of beauty, love, life, etc., like the mystery of the world in which, right, things matter, so to say, that mystery, I think, is what's referred to as God here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe it is just a lack of diction, right? I don't know what word, right, we would use, right? One might say, oh, evolutionarily, but I think that's still gonna fall short.
Yeah,
with its, material
that definitely falls
implications.
short. Yeah, that definitely falls short.
So I think the mystery is what is being named God.
Yeah, or like
the mysterious source of the meaningful life.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
So I think it'd be fair. God as the mysterious source of the meaningful life, which the woman ought to return to rather than isolate herself from.
I don't know, but I mean, not to like, it just sounds, but it sounds like it's the subjective life. Can you just say like, what is the God source in this case? I agreed with what you were saying in terms of the radical subjectivity that's the space in which things are like taking place, and beauty and suffering are all created and emerge, and you can interact and engage with them. But like, that sounds like the sources are. So this is just coming down to like a fundamental cause. Like God is the fundamental cause for why you can have a subjectivity, like why everything exists anywhere.
I think the right. You're saying the meaningful life, right? Suffering, beauty, etc. Right. I'm just gonna keep calling it the meaningful.
Okay.
Life, right? The meaningful life, I think, the way I'm framing it, takes place only in the radical subjective experience.
Yes.
And God is the name for what gives rise, the mysterious source of the meaningful life within the radical subjective space.
Okay.
Right, because like one can't pinpoint anything else in
there
the
reminds me of
subjective space.
That reminds me of the master signifier from Lacan, which he literally calls God, which is interesting. But
yeah, I think no, yeah.
Like the signifier which sets off the chain of all signified. So like you can't have symbols without a symbol that it itself doesn't make any sense, and yet somehow guarantees the rest. Yeah, the unsymbolizable sets off.
Unsymbolizable symbolizer.
Yeah.
Aristotle was so close.
Yeah. But yeah.
But yeah, I think this is fair. And I think this is what I'm on board with.
Yeah, but the only thing he says is that the master signifier can be different things besides God. So he makes the argument that like many different symbols can operate that way for people in terms of the radical subjectivity. So you might say that like the person who's like super into politics, like such that it dominates their life, right? Like all the time they're thinking about politics, but maybe they themselves aren't a politician, right? They're just like some Joe Schmo. They have to get the job. That like the political enterprise and civic duty itself, the United States, for instance, becomes the master signifier, and like it sets off the chain of signification in a way that's sufficient, though it might not lead to a lifestyle that we like or want. It's sufficient to grant people this subjective world that they can now interact with. It guarantees their whole structure or something like that.
I agree with that, but I think like maybe the political example is like not the best example, but I agree that the political thing can take the place of a master signifier in someone's life, but that like one can, I think we could easily identify like more fundamental signifiers for like a political obsession, so to say. And maybe if I agree with all that, with what you said, then I also want to say that perhaps God, is like the title for the best master signifier.
Yeah, well, right. So I figured you were going to say it. Then the only thing that you probably won't agree with, and this is the Lacan phrase, is that like his famous thing is the master signifier does not exist. It does not exist, and it can be free floating because it doesn't exist. But whatever. I imagine.
Yeah, I'd want to know what he means by doesn't exist.
Well, it has to do with the fact that it can be located in other things. It can find itself in other things for different people based on the subject. The subject chooses it, or doesn't consciously choose it, but rather it becomes a thing. A symbol becomes that for them. But yeah.
You're just saying he's saying no.
There is no
The
objective
fact-
master signifier. There are
Oh, yeah.
only master signifiers for subjects.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. All right.
But I don't.
I think
mean,
that's fairly stupid.
Go ahead.
Who, me?
Yeah, you got something?
No, I don't think it'd be of value. I think I'd just be retreading old points you guys made. So.
Well, unless someone has more on this specific topic, my concern is that we're getting too wrapped up in this.
Stuff that's outside the film.
No,
This is a theology podcast.
No,
now.
this is definitely not outside the film, but we don't want to be like the pharmacist and become distracted by our quote unquote intellectual lives and ignore the mastery and emotional richness of this film.
You gotta love it when as the guy's dying, he's like, I just would have rather, if I were to give up my faith, I would have rather been with someone I love. And then he says like not for the intellectual life. And then as it fades out, you hear the atheist going like, I totally disagree.
Yeah.
Like I totally disagree. And then it just fades out, cuts him off.
I did like that. I liked
Yeah,
the
I thought
whole
that was cool.
how painful it was for our guy to hear.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. I mean, it was painful for him to hear that he had, denied his faith, but that not for a woman, not for the love of a woman, but for some, intellectual life.
Yeah.
Is pretty funny, and also so true, so sad.
Can we talk more about his death, like in the final scenes?
Sure.
I guess again, starting with the plot. He visits Dufresne,
Yeah, I guess that's his name.
who was previously in the ministry.
Yeah.
They were both on the grind together, and then he just left it behind.
Yeah.
And I guess my question is, why did he die there? Because I mean, even the priest says he's like, God, please don't let me die here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he dies there. I don't know. What do you guys see as being the?
What? Wait. So what did Dufresne has a panic and leaves? What does he go do?
He goes to a pharmacy, I believe.
A pharmacy.
Oh, the panic. Yeah, he goes to a pharmacy to try and get something to help him in a panic, and then he says, something about the pharmacist was like, "You're an idiot. The guy's dying. He's dead. You can't do anything," or something like this. I don't have maybe an instant take, but I'm trying to find something maybe relevant.
Of all the people, I mean, why did he even go and visit him in the first place? What, I don't really see the point in that. And then, didn't you say there's also another movie that's very similar in plot, but it's different? There's an ending that's different. It's a response to this movie.
Taxi Driver.
There's Winter. So Winterlight is the best one, right? Winterlight's the best one in terms of the triad of Winterlight, First Reformed, and this film. Right, Winterlight's responding to this. First Reformed responding to both two, and then Taxi Driver is more just inspired by this.
Yeah.
But didn't you say there's one where the ending is significant?
But I do like the way in which.
Difference?
Sorry.
Oh,
just it takes a turn. The beginning of both films, there's a priest who is, not in a crisis of faith per se, but struggles with faith and taking that leap. They both priests encounter someone suicidal who they understand to be suicidal, and say things to them or something. Actually, it's a little different in this one. Anyway, they interact with suicidal people and struggle big time with their inability to properly communicate in any helpful way. And just both films discuss faith in a somewhat similar way, but in Winterlight things go differently a little bit. I'm trying to find. Oh, I have the motorcycle scene. All right. So to your question about his death. He talks about when he's on the motorcycle. He talks about how he has a strong sense, or he knows. Let's see. He says, by some premonition I can't explain, I understood that God didn't want me to die without knowing something of this risk. Just enough for my sacrifice to be complete when its time came. So I feel like he's saying something about how, like, he knew he wasn't going to die on the motorcycle because, like, his death, he understands, will be a form of sacrifice, and like the things required for him to die to complete the sacrifice, like, hasn't happened yet.
What's the risk, though?
I don't know, when I saw it, I thought he was saying about the risk of, like, he wasn't afraid of being on the motorcycle without knowing something of this risk.
Yeah,
didn't want me to die without knowing something.
Yeah, because the motorcycle driver asks him, "You're not scared? You're not scared to get on this? I'm happy." Or he says some line about, like, I'm happy you're riding.
Yeah. Hey, you ever ridden one of these? Want to try? Come on. And then they're riding. He says, "You're not frightened?"
Yeah.
And then we hear narration. How could I feel so miraculously young then? Yes, as young as my companion. Things suddenly seemed simple. Youth is blessed. It's a risk you take, and even that risk is blessed. Oh, okay. He's saying, I understood God didn't want me to die without knowing something of this risk. I felt like knowing something of, like, the risk of youth, of, like, just being risky and empowered and young and things like this. So, like, I guess he just felt like God wanted me to experience this sensation of young riskiness before I die, so he knew he wouldn't die. So maybe without knowing something of this risk, just enough for my sacrifice to be complete when its time came. Oh, okay. So he's saying he understands that God wanted him to get on this motorcycle, to feel the risk of youth and empowerment and the blessedness of youth. That way, he will have a life in which he experienced that, which will amplify the sacrifice of his death. Right? I understood that God didn't want me to die without knowing something of this risk, and me paraphrasing a little bit, so that my sacrifice will be complete when its time came.
So, like, just how valuable it is to be able to appreciate, or to take those kinds of risks.
Yeah, something like this.
This is like what you're losing. This is the sacrifice. This is part of what is lost.
It seems to me like that. Like, God wanted it, like, building up his life a bit so that it's a bigger thing that dies or something. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know.
It's a little bit non-ascetic.
Yeah, I think that's right.
It's an important part of it. No,
actually,
it seems like
I don't know. Asceticism seems more material in nature. Actually, no. I scratched that from the record.
Wait, what?
Nothing. That's perfect.
Doesn't the argument in general to, like, experience the risk of youth or something like that? It just sounds like a line. It's not necessarily contradicting asceticism, but it just has the vibe of an argument someone would use that's living a non-ascetic lifestyle. You know.
Perhaps it's just saying there's more to life than the ascetic lifestyle, and that it's not perfect, although it may have plenty of pros, but it's not perfect, and it doesn't encapsulate all of life.
Yeah, I think that's fair. We've all read BK, right?
Huh? Oh yeah.
We've all read Brothers Karamazov, right? This is kind of like, going into the world maybe a little bit. Like, I mean, this.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, this priest cat, right? He's raised in the church, seminary, school, everything, right? This could be maybe his little foray into the world of, the world, and, like, a risk-taking youthfulness that he hasn't experienced. Yeah, throw a little richness in there.
And then
sure.
Sure, whatever, dude.
Whatever you say, man. But then what leads him to do Freddy after receiving his diagnosis? Still back to the original question.
What does he say? He says something. I do like the conversation a little bit with the Foreign Legion guy on the motorcycle. I know Elsmore loved that.
He says, I'm pretty sure for him to go to Freddy, I'm pretty sure he says, I have to visit this one Reddit mod that I owe $5 to.
So true. Some groomer. Also, I want to note that
I thought it was wild how he leaned over to the motorcycle guy and said, I have to return some videotapes.
Yeah.
Who knew that was a reference all along?
Yeah.
Just a quick note that in the like little train station shop or whatever, he drinks a cup of coffee and experiences a grand peace, which is maybe also in vain with the worldliness he's experiencing in the city, right? Because it's his first time he's eaten anything other than bread and wine that didn't make him extremely ill. I also like, the first time when he drinks the other thing, right, at the other people's place, I think the little girl implies that they poisoned him, but also it's in line with just him becoming extremely sick when he encounters sin and or eats something other than bread and wine.
Yeah.
So the idea of going home, this is what he says.
He loves the hustle and bustle.
He loves the hustle and bustle. Yeah, maybe that's why. I think he heard that this Dufresne guy had exposed brick and had shit. He says,
God
a peaceful window. The idea of going home with this thing made me feel ashamed. And then it ends scene, and then it goes to, he's at the door of Dufresne. And he said, Abbot Dufresne had studied with me at the seminary before being assigned to a small parish. I knew he'd taken a leave from the ministry only because of illness. He was in shirt sleeves and those cotton pants he wears under a cassock and barefoot in his slippers. And then they start talking. Yeah, I don't know exactly why he comes here.
Maybe he just visits him because it's like, he's a friend in town from my childhood. Just like if I were in town, I might go say hi to some childhood friend. It's
true.
It's not expressly he doesn't have it's never expressly mentioned why he's visiting him, but the fact that they're old friends and he's in the town and he doesn't come to town often,
Listen, Chud, not everything has to have a meaning.
I think it also
curtains are blue because they're blue.
Well, that's so funny. It's worth noting, right? This guy is also sickly like him.
Yeah.
They were friends. They came from the same source and have ended up on very different paths. And he knows that he has turned away from faith. Well, no, he doesn't know that. He knows that he left the seminary. So maybe this is like one last, like I'm in town and I know someone who maybe I can be of use to. I don't know.
Well, they are just sort of like set in. They're like directly. What? Oh my God!
Just seems like
contrasted.
The foil. Yeah, right. He's the same. They're the same person gone. Opposite directions. One with a rich intellectual life. I also got the sense that he actually did do it for the Dufresne guy is doing more for his woman, like for the love of a woman, than he is letting on. Because that woman seems really nice. And boy, is she good. She loves him so much. And it seemed like he doesn't understand how much she loves him. Is anyone picking up my drift?
I can't say. I am.
Wait, who?
He talks...
Repeat it.
When he talks to Dufresne's hoe...
Yeah.
I'm pulling up the conversation they have.
And they weren't married, right?
She
Dufresne
says...
and the woman, not married.
She's...
Dufresne and the woman weren't married?
Yeah. No, they're not married, and that's a point of issue. She says, I'm afraid you must think poorly of me. The room isn't tidied up and everything's dirty. You see, I leave to work at 5 a.m, and I just don't have the strength anymore. What's your work? I'm a cleaning lady. The most tiring part is rushing from one place to another. But what about his business? They say there's money in it, but he had to borrow for the office and the typewriter. Besides, he can't get around much. Are you married? No. I was the one against it. Why? Because of what he is, don't you see? I always hoped he'd get well at the sanatorium. Sanatorium... Let's see. I wasn't sure... Yeah, okay, never mind.
What?
For some reason, I always get the connotation of like insane asylum, but it's really just a medical facility.
Wait, isn't it for psychiatric stuff?
Sanatorium is a medical facility for long-term illnesses, most typically associated with treatment of tuberculosis in the 19th and early 20th century. Before. Yeah. And this is I think like a World War I type thing.
No, you're
anyway,
right.
So when I was watching it, I was
sanitary.
Yeah, every time I heard it though, when I was watching it, I was getting connotation of like, the guy's crazy or something. Mm-hmm. But I guess not. And then, so I always hope he'd get well at the sanatorium. And then if he ever wanted to make a fresh start, I wouldn't be in the way. Woof. But that made it sound like he was insane. But, right, so like she loves him so much and she didn't want to get married to him in case he wanted to start a new life. She didn't want him to be tied to her. So nice. And what did he think of that? Nothing. He thought I didn't want to. So she did this for him and didn't tell him. You know? Pretty juicy sacrifice if you ask me. Right? So she, I mean, and he just totally shits on her when he talks about it earlier, right? She's like, she has no place in my intellectual life. And blah, blah, blah. This might be the only like man-woman dynamic we see in the film also. Other than the Countess getting wrecked and what's the girl's name? I really wanted them to bang.
Oh, you talking about
yeah.
You're talking about Chantal?
Yeah, I'm talking about
Chantal.
Yeah, I was getting crazy erotic energy when she shows up and is helping him. She takes off her overcoat and her big hugabajungas pop out and she's looking fine as hell. I'm thinking, man, this might be it.
13 in this movie, bro.
No, she is not. Stop. She's an adult.
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely like some erotic vibes.
I just need to formally disavow all Harvey Weinstein actions and attitudes.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that was very brave of you.
I know. It took a lot, but I'm glad to have come out of the, proverbial closet.
Wait, but you did it for yourself, but you should have done it for the whole podcast.
You're right. The Cinematographically Speaking podcast.
We do not
hold on. Don't lump me in with that thing.
Yeah, Jacob.
Wait, lie. You speak for myself.
You don't speak for me, okay?
Yeah. The whole cinematographical podcast, aside from Jacob Ellsworth. Well, Ellsworth. I mean, he's doxed.
Wait, hold on.
He's been doxed.
Jacob, just note the time.
We all know he's been doxed. Who cares?
Yeah, we've doxed him so many times.
Yeah, we've doxed him. Anyways, we all support. I mean, disavow.
What are you talking about again?
Woody Allen.
Yeah. Wait.
I mean, sorry, we disavow the Roman Polanski. I mean,
yeah, that one's
support
a
him.
Safer. Wait.
Well, I heard that he and Nastasia, they hooked up and it was willing, and it was just kind of like a loving thing.
You heard from an inside source?
Well, from her, but yeah, whatever, bro. Free my boy Roman.
Free Roman.
Free Roman. Let him come back just to visit.
Just to visit.
Yeah,
that's right. On. Wait, so does he just not come? He comes back under legal. He doesn't come back under legal threat, right?
Right. He just stays in his.
He can't come back.
Right. He would. Yeah. Correct. And he's in a country that has a non-extradition policy.
Isn't he in Poland?
No, he's in Antarctica.
He might be in Poland or Swedes.
He's in a land where they have no policy about anything.
Yeah.
No, the Antarctican parliamentary system has non-extradition with the United States.
If we can just take a moment of silence to remember that Matthew Broderick killed 2 people. In the
Hold
80s.
on, Googling. Who's Matthew Broderick?
Ferris Bueller.
Oh.
He did.
Did he crash a car and kill everyone?
I think it was like a manslaughter thing.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on.
That's awesome.
I think he drunk drove and killed 2 people.
Hold on.
And then,
August 5th.
He was fined like $100 and that was it.
August 5th, 1987, while driving a rented BMW 316 in Ireland, he crossed into the wrong lane and collided head-on with a Volvo.
Oh my god.
The driver, Anna Gallagher, remember her name, say her name, and her mother, Margaret Doherty, 63, were both killed instantly.
Well, at least it was instant.
He was on vacation with Jennifer Grey, who I think is the female lead in Ferris Bueller's.
No way.
Hold on. Career.
Ferris Bueller's.
No. Different. Oh, no. This is...
Jealous sister. She's the sister.
Yeah,
She plays
she's
Ferris
from Dirty
Bueller's
Dancing.
sister.
Holy shit. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's the sister in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah, that's right.
She's Ferris Bueller's sister.
And they teamed up to take
Ferris
out Gallagher.
Bueller's vehicular manslaughter.
So they were in the car.
Ferris Bueller's vehicular.
He suffered. Ferris Bueller's what?
Vehicular manslaughter. That's what Jacob just said. Ferris Bueller's Day Off too.
More like Ferris Bueller's Doze Off.
You know what's really funny is like a few years ago he was in a car ad. He was like in a Kia ad and just driving around the city.
Oh my gosh. Hold on.
And the family of the person, the people that got killed were like trying to sue.
Really?
Hold on. Elsmore was literally right. He was charged with causing death by dangerous driving, faced up to 5 years in prison, but was convicted of the lesser charge of careless driving and fined £100.
Wow.
175 US
Ferris always gets away with everything, God damn it.
The victim's family called the verdict a travesty of justice, and the victim's brother and son forgave Broderick later amid plans to meet him in 2003. In February 2012, when Broderick was featured in a multi-million-dollar Honda commercial that aired during the Super Bowl, Doherty said the meeting had still not taken place and that, quote, Broderick wasn't the greatest choice of drivers known in the past. That was a good shout out. That was a good remembrance.
You said 2 members of the family forgave him in exchange for meeting him?
Yeah.
No. Amid plans to meet him.
Yeah.
But they never met.
Yeah, they're like, you just sign this? We're straight.
That is pretty crazy. They put him in a car commercial and he recklessly killed 2 people and only paid $100. That is pretty funny.
Terrible.
Interesting. Broderick. He's been in so many movies. Well, anyway,
I hear he's
been in so many cars.
He's a pill popper.
He's been in so many cars. He's a pill popper, eh?
Yeah.
Aren't we all these days?
Aren't we all?
I just want to spread rumors about Matthew Broderick to see the true reach of this podcast.
I spread information diabolically.
We get a cease and desist from his team.
Yeah. He shows up to my house.
He
drives into my bedroom. He drives through the wall.
Yeah.
drives through the wall. Hey, are you Jacob Elsmore?
Yeah. Takes off his sunglasses. Asks him.
He's like this. He's just stuck like this. Like in the poster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just walks around like that.
Yeah.
He walks.
He drives into your house drunk. You can see he drives with his hands like this.
That's how he crashed. He just he can't grab the wheel because he has to be like that.
Gets out of the car and says, life moves pretty fast, just like my car. If you don't stop and stare, might
That'd
pass
be
you
dope
by.
if that were his mugshot too.
What's the song? What's the
With the
song?
sunglasses.
Yeah, the sunglasses on his nose.
Yeah.
Bow, bow.
Yeah.
You blast into your living room, that song just fucking super loud.
Bow, bow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Oh.
Alright, so what now?
I don't know.
I'm feeling a good wrap up on this one.
You feeling a good wrap up?
We just tied a nice bow.
Listen, I just want to say that I really like his inner strength. He truly is a warrior for Christ, as the Foreign Legion guy acknowledges. And the most especially powerful moment, an example of this, is his conversation with the priest from Torcy in that shed type thing, where he stands up and is strong, and the priest is saying everyone thinks he like blackmailed the chick and got her to kill herself. And of course he has the letter absolving himself, and he doesn't even think about bringing up the letter because he has such a strong inner strength and ethical confidence. I think this is something we can all take away from this film. When accused of sexual misdeeds, one doesn't need to post the screenshots.
That's true.
Because you know what you did was totally consensual and good. And this is assuming it was, of course. If it wasn't, I think you should get shot in the fucking face.
Nature of consent, really? How can you?
I thought we lived in a radically subjective world, Troy.
Uh-huh. That's so true, but that's why we have lawyers.
What is consent?
Listen, that's actually a good point, Steven. I think, obviously, our understanding of consent has changed a lot over the years, but it needs to reach its ultimate destination, influenced by Bergman's From the Life of the Marionettes, wherein we appreciate that consent is truly impossible as communication itself is, and that never have sex again. I actually started doing that about 5 years ago.
I actually started this doing.
You bloody. Yeah. You fucking.
That is a great point. Great point, Roy. I haven't asked for consent for years. But I also don't have sex, so.
It's so good. Stacey, are you taking note?
Did you ask him for consent?
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Give me more Jamaican.
Damn bottles of wines and spirits coming up in ya. Damn,
consent.
shorty going crazy. Hope you asked for consent, though.
Big ups to Holila.
Oh, that one was crazy. Oh, fuck.
Better be safe, man. Always wrap up. Wear a Jimmy.
Oh, shit. No, I think that's youthful risk.
Yeah.
Hit that shit, bro.
That's true, actually.
That's why I'm kind of bummed.
God.
Why is it a motorcycle scene? Why isn't he just hitting it raw?
he's on a motorcycle going slow as shit next to another dude. Come on, man.
Call that youthful risk.
That's not cool.
They're literally riding on a phallus.
Yeah. God.
Holy
Yeah, it turns
shit.
out he's the one getting raw dogged by this guy. That's true. Instead of the motorcycle scene, it should have been him dipping it in raw to like a bunch of hookers and stuff in the town.
God wanted me to experience.
Truly immerse himself into the, wet and slippery, slimy world of contemporary society.
The moist world.
Wet world.
It's a slippery, so as to, obviously it would be a visual metaphor for the slippery slope.
We've got a, I hope this might, never mind, this would dox me. I can't say it. It would be so funny, but it would dox me. Fuck. Yeah, sorry.
We'll just bleep it. We'll bleep it.
We're gonna talk about how we've got a theme park called Dry Town around me. It's literally a water park with like two water slides. But yeah, I don't know, dude. Somehow I forgot where the joke was gonna go. Sorry, but Dry Town was the punchline.
I think Dry Town is good enough.
Yeah, I'm taking your ass to Dry Town. He probably took her bitch ass to Dry Town. Kick W.
Kick W. All right, I guess.
Is that it? Did we do it?
Yeah, I
Closing
think. I
thoughts?
mean, listen,
Scores?
our work is never done, just as the priests is never done. I think, the ultimate realization we do need to come to before the end of the podcast is that we are warriors of Christ. Everyone on this podcast, and that we probably all have undiagnosed stomach cancer. That was so sad to imagine. I would be so annoyed.
He handled it way better than I would.
Yeah, I'd be pretty TO'd if I were diagnosed with untreatable cancer at my age.
I might be giving the doctor some bad lip and asking for a couple more tests.
Giving him some lip, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
I'd mouth off to him.
You'd exchange your mouth for some more tests.
Yeah.
I'd throw it off to him.
Yeah. Butthole off to him.
But the whole time you didn't realize that the doctor, he's just Indian, so he's just ending every sentence with cancer, you.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah.
Can you please, cancer?
Yeah.
Cancer, sign these papers. You bloody, you must cancer.
Right. You bloody cancer.
That's a good one too. You bloody cancer. What? I have bloody stomach cancer?
Yeah.
He just curses cancer the whole time after you get your diagnosis.
Yeah. Okay. Well, closing thoughts here.
Yeah.
Or you have something, Steven?
Nope. Nope. You're
Something
on the right
make
track.
me laugh?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope,
Closing thoughts here. This film rocks. I am officially, this is an official call out to Criterion. Look, we like what you do, but literally, fuck you. Okay? You've got the DVD distribution rights for this film. It's debatably one of Bresson's landmark films. All these people talk about it, etc., etc., etc. Make a rescan. You forced us to watch something in 480p. You're literally evil. That's sin. So, all the followers of the podcast, do not physically harm any Criterion employees. Do not go to the Criterion office in New York City. Don't do that, but you maybe just send an email.
Do not send them a bomb.
Yeah, seriously. Oh, don't even joke about that. Don't do that. Do not do that. Send them an email expressing a desire for this.
So wait, the listeners can't do that, but the members of the podcast can, right?
Send them something.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm a little sad about that. But anyway, film totally rocks. Was a lot better than I expected, weirdly enough. Way different than I expected. I want to make sure that it's clear to to our audience and members alike that the intellectual stuff, like the theological discussions, are epic and good, but this film shines for other reasons. And I'm gonna give this film a 4. This is a must-watch, but I will grant it's on the lower end of the must-watches. But perhaps that would change following a rescan. That was a joke, and if that were true, it'd be corrupt. But there's maybe a little something behind that. It's tough to really engage with something that there's all this shit in the way. So there you go.
Yeah, I hear Criterion Channel. I hear the Criterion Studios really likes it when you send them packages filled with candy, and toffee is their favorite. Toffee candy. Send them toffee candies. Anyways, I don't know. I'd give this film a 3.3, and I also want to say, without an explanation, that this film is like the well-groomed nutsack on a pit bull.
Wait, Steven, I think you should acknowledge a little disclaimer on your score. That you were telling me before the podcast about your viewing.
Yeah, I was like super hissy fissy fussy. I just went into it like with a really bad temper. So I was watching it and like my experience was certainly tainted by my mindset, but by the last third I could just tell that there was like some good value. And even though my enjoyment, see, this is why the whole enjoyment thing gets all muddled, like is enjoyment the same as your score? Is it the same as the quality I see in it? No, I think it is better than the amount that I enjoyed it, but all I can do is rate it based off of a number I felt. So I think there's a world where I watch this and give it a higher score, but
no, I think you're right in doing what you're doing, right? Ultimately, you're just you're putting a number on your radical subjective
I'm mogging it.
Experience from God.
Yeah.
All right, holy score. We appreciate it.
Is it my turn? Is it?
Yeah, and I'm in the lead right now. I'm on track to win this podcast.
Jacob, how does that work?
Well, Jacob hasn't gone yet.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, on first watch, I just felt, perhaps I was a bit tired too and out of it, but slow burn. After this discussion, I feel a little better about it. Before I felt basically indifferent, and now I'm up to like a 3.25. I'll give it a 3.25.
Okay.
Before I give my score, I guess closing thoughts. I want to fucking kill myself because I forgot to bring up Ordette during this entire discussion.
No one's seen it but you.
Really? Am I the
so
only?
You are absolutely prohibited from talking about Ordette.
Okay.
And we should have talked about Breaking the Waves.
Wait, you haven't seen Ordette?
Correct.
Holy shit.
I know. I need to see it. I know it's the basis of one of my favorite films of all time, Sacrifice. But I have been a bit deflected by it's only available in 480p.
It is very powerful. I can
Yeah.
say that. Very powerful.
Yeah.
But okay, well, I guess it's good that I didn't bring it up because I
is.
couldn't have brought it up.
Yeah.
Make sure to check my my Substack listeners if you want my take. Anyway, yeah. So I was feeling a bit wary at the start of recording because I also didn't feel like I had the pieces put together. And I definitely will be doing a rewatch to sort of, it's good to rewatch, and I feel like it'll be more impactful the second time. Overall, yeah, it was, got a little pop-up here. Apple software update. Don't want to do that. Overall, I enjoyed it. But because I'm planning on doing a rewatch, I'm going to limit my score to a 3.3.
Oh.
Look at you guys, dude. 3.3, 3.25, 3.3.
Yeah.
Wait, isn't a 3? A 3 is dead center, right? Neutral?
It's John might have a couple arguments.
What do you guys? John's not here. John's not here. Who cares?
Yeah, I think for me personally,
John is sitting right next to me.
For me personally, a 3 is a good film. 3 marks good. 4 marks must watch. 5 marks. Evidence for the
3 marks good
existence of God. I think 3 marks good, but it might be different. You can just say your number and say what you think.
Okay, yeah, I think I feel just above indifferent. just a tick mark above indifferent. Well, I like the conversation that the movie kind of engages with, but on first watch, given my state of mind, it wasn't particularly engaging at the time.
Well, alrighty then.
So that's that.
Well, for some closing out here, I think Brody said this week he wanted to watch something a little more fun, and I was not feeling it after Red Shoes, because Red Shoes I thought was like.
I think we should have
whatever.
watched Ocean's 12.
That would be
the next
so
movie.
fun.
The next movie, I'm definitely feeling something a little more on the fun side of life.
I would love to do something
Preferably
like
good
Ocean's
and
12.
sharp and incisive. Dude,
I've
Ocean's
been
12 makes me rage, dude.
I've
Fucking
been
stupid movie.
like tossing and turning about Ocean's 12 all week. I fucking hate that movie.
Is that the newest one where?
No, it's
an
not the
all
newest.
lead
It's
cast?
That's Ocean's 8.
No, it's not the newest one. We don't count Ocean's 8 in
I
the
see.
trilogy. Yeah, no, it's not part of the.
I haven't seen any of the Oceans films.
Oh, you should watch 11. I actually,
Dude, you should.
I rewatched all of them.
You should only watch 12
No.
or 13.
No. Yes, you should watch 13.
Wait, which one's
13 is the third. That's where they steal the diamonds. From
Oh
Al
yeah.
Pacino.
Yeah. And 12 is easily the worst by a million
But-
miles. 12 might be one of the most evil.
Steven
works of cinema to ever
Soderbergh
exist.
said that was his favorite, which really, really hurts. I think what he meant
Well,
is it
Soderbergh-
was his favorite to film.
When I was a kid, I didn't understand what like the title meant for the Ocean's movies. I thought it was like a 28 Days Later or like a Day After Tomorrow. Like I thought it meant like
Yeah.
like 11 like some sort of cryptic like 11 oceans, like you know what I mean, like some sort of meaning.
Yeah.
And you found out it was
Yeah,
a
it
reference
wasn't
to
until
Frank
I actually-
Ocean's 11th album.
Yeah.
Is it the name of a casino?
No.
No, it's the number is how many people are in the heist
Yes.
crew,
Right.
and the person leading the crew, his last name is Ocean.
I see. Is his name Frank Ocean?
Yes.
No,
Daniel
unfortunately
Ocean?
not.
Danny.
What is
yeah.
this? It is Danny, yeah. Yeah,
Dan-
I also, as a child, thought that I
Mr.
thought it was the
Ocean.
12th Oceans. I thought it was like the 12th movie in a very long.
Can you imagine?
Mr. Ocean.
Dude, yes, I can imagine. That's the worst part. 'Cause
Yo.
there's nothing about the format of those films that restrict it from having a million versions of the same.
Maybe we should watch the newest Matrix.
No,
No,
dude, no. Don't even joke.
You don't-
about
you don't
stuff.
There was a
want that.
really
All right.
funny.
Don't
There was a
even joke.
funny review for Ocean's 12 that I read. That was like something like, in 10 years there will be Ocean's 25, and it'll be like 10 minutes long. I can't remember what it was. Fuck me. Yeah, ignore me.
It would be funny if they get it would be funny if they get so good at the heist. They have a movie where it's like so good at the heist that it literally only takes like 15 minutes for the whole movie. Like they just pull off a great heist and they don't explain anything and it's instant. No issue ever.
Dude, someone hasn't seen Ocean's 12.
Is it 15 minutes long?
Dude, it should have been. That I almost am not opposed to watching that for the podcast.
Yeah, it'd be pretty fun to talk about it. Not gonna lie.
But the problem is, I think everyone will agree with how evil it is, and that'll be.
But
that.
you really should watch Ocean's 11 first if you haven't seen it. That's the only problem.
Dude, we need to watch. Have you guys seen About Time?
No, we cannot watch that.
Have you seen it, dude? That is
No.
one of my top 10 most evil things ever created. But I think that for that film is very controversial because it's also heralded as one of the most positive feel-good movies of all time. I mean, that second part's not exactly true. I mean, it's more or less a very contemporary kind of romance. But holy shit, that movie is evil.
The review I was looking for was, at the rate things are going, all of Hollywood will put in about a day's work on Ocean's 17. That was a review given for Ocean's 12.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right. Well, I guess we'll close it out unless someone has something to say.
Thor Ragnarok. Or Thor Love and Thunder. That's the one. That's the newest one. Christian Bale. Gore.
Dude, I might draw the line at watching an Avengers film or something.
Yeah,
Oh no, I'm not. I don't want to watch an Avengers
I'd
film.
also prefer to not do.
Well, you want to watch a Marvel film? I'm sorry, I meant Marvel.
Oh no, I was kidding about that. I don't want to watch a Marvel film for the pod.
I actually think it's crazy that, okay, first of all, Scorsese is cringe. You know, his movies are semi-cringe. Not that, some or whatever. Anyway, but he's definitely cringe. And you know the whole thing, you know, he had that big Marvel thing, you know?
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that...
What big Marvel thing?
He just said it's
he said
like
Marvel movies are like
La
shit.
La
you know?
La Disneyland
yeah,
cupcake.
call this.
There
Yeah, he
needs to
says
be a
they're
place
stupid
for
and
art.
for children.
Yeah.
I actually just want to note my surprise that his comment was even noteworthy, let alone not immediately regarded as obvious in the like. That was kind of a black pill.
Yeah.
Well, he's wrong.
The floor is yours.
This whole idea that, so I got this from, so I was listening to a recording of Simulacra and Simulation.
Yeah.
And in it, Baudrillard goes into how, Disney, everyone wants to lie to themselves and say that Disneyland is for kids. But actually, it's for the adults, right? So that they can convince themselves that they are adults and that they go to this place, this childish place, to like indulge in their childlike fantasies, when in reality it's the opposite. That they go there just to like cope about the fact that they're like they're not real adults and everyone's a child, and I don't know, something like that.
But this is more about so it sounds like Avengers movies are made for children but enjoyed by adults.
No.
For the reason that they can feel like adults.
No.
Because
the Baudrillard argument would be
you
that
think Disneyland is made for adults.
They're literally made for adults to give them the illusion under the illusion that they're made for kids, but really they're made for adults to.
Yeah, but adults don't feel that it's
which
made
is like
for kids.
which is like obvious enough, quote unquote, but like.
I don't think this is right because Disneyland obviously is a childish place. People don't see Marvel films as for children.
What?
They might acknowledge what?
Wait. Okay,
Marvel man children don't think that they are very interested in a form of media that's made for children and idiots. They think they're engaging with, great work. And although they might give lip service to like, well, yeah, it's not some black and white Yugoslavian silent film, but like they don't see them like adults at Disney see Disney as something for children. Marvel fans do not for Marvel films.
The modern Marvel man.
Okay, I have.
But I did like the Disney.
I'm
that
the modern
idea.
Marvel man. Modern Marvel man child.
Mississippi.
Anyway, all right.
Perfect model of all entangled orders of simulation. To begin with, it is a play of illusions and phantasms, pirates, the frontier, future world, etc. This imaginary world is supposed to be what makes the operation successful, but what draws the crowd is undoubtedly much more the social microcosm, the miniaturized and religious reveling in real America, in its delights and drawbacks. You park outside, queue up inside, you are totally abandoned at the exit. In this imaginary world, only phantasmagoria is in the inherent warmth and affection of the crowd. Blah, blah, blah. The objective profile of the United States, then, may be traced throughout Disneyland. Something, Disneyland is the real America, something, ideology. Oh, wait.
Does he
Disneyland
conclude
is there
by...
to conceal the fact that it is the real country of all real America, which is all of Los Angeles and the Americas surrounding it are no longer real, but of the order of the hyper-real and of simulation.
You enter the theme park when you leave Disneyland.
Listen. Whatever.
Watergate, same scenario as Disneyland. I'll just leave that there.
Does it really say that, or is that what you're saying?
Yeah. He goes on a tirade against Watergate.
So base.
About how it's fake or real?
About how it's fake, but also calling out how it's fake is also fake. How you can't escape the dialectic.
All right, well, I guess that's it. Big shout out to Brody again for the animation.
Yeah, talk about Pitbull.
Brody
nutsack.
inspired me.
I'll tell you,
Talking
Brody's
about Pitbull
Brody's
nutsack.
got a crazy sack.
Nutsack.
Yeah.
Shout out Brody.
Did you have something?
His
shout out Brody.
His highlight reel inspired me to hop on. Seemed like you guys were
God
having
bless.
a
Shout out
grand old time
Sam.
without me, and I couldn't have that.
Right.
Yeah, shout out to Sam. Obviously, when he came on, it was not that fun or funny.
It was still fun.
You know, kind of like an observer, kind of a, what's it called? The observer effect a little bit, you know?
What's that?
Sam's like...
That's the Schrodinger thing, right?
No, not the Schrodinger. Yeah, Jacob, help me out here.
What?
Is it observed effect? I'm just saying,
Dude,
Sam...
the quantum
Sam,
thing where when you see it, it has a location, and when you don't look at it, it has no location.
The Heisenberg uncertainty principle? Or Schrodinger's cat?
Anyway, Sam saw something fun and cool, but his being here to be a part of it
I fucking
made
ruined
unfun
it.
and cool. So, but shout out to Sam for coming. Hopefully he comes on more episodes. Per usual, my 6 to 10 hour scene by scene discussion of a film is coming.
Yeah, we should just do a podcast where we just talk about anything.
Yeah, right? Steven, that is a really good idea. Maybe we should do a podcast.
Yeah, I
where
don't
we
think
just
anyone's ever done that.
Sam, the joke here is that is said at the end of every podcast.
As well as what Troy said, yeah.
Yeah, as well as my 16-hour scene by scene, which I do intend to do, and we also do think it's a good idea.
Yeah,
Podcast where we
it's
just
a
talk.
good idea.
So it isn't a joke.
Anyway, well, the joke is that we say it every time,
simulation.
but it is real. Yeah, something about dialectics. Okay, well, Sam, we end the podcast by all of us saying bye a couple times.
We all
ready?
go, 1, 2.
We should do like a barbershop.
Bye, bye,
Yeah, like,
bye.
bye.
Yeah. So one person. Yeah. Someone start low and then.
Here, I got it. I'll start. No, I
I'll
start.
start. Wait, no, do it in the order of the Discord call.
What?
so we
I don't
mess it
know.
up.
I'm third.
Oh, okay.
How do we know what order we're gonna
I'm
do?
third, I guess.
We'll just feel it out.
Fine, whatever.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.